Devil in the White City by Erik Larson is the story of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair and the serial killer H. H. Holmes, who was active in Chicago during the time period. Holmes targeted young women and especially liked to form long-term relationships with his victims before killing them. Holmes was obviously a psychopath based on his complete detachment from his victims and their suffering, even with people he spent years with. If you've taken psychology with Mr. Kerr, you know that psychopathy is an impairment or complete lack of empathy or remorse. In 1941, Dr. Hervey Cleckley described the psychopath as a subtly constructed reflex machine which can mimic a human personality perfectly. So perfect is his reproduction of a whole and normal man that no one who examines him in a clinical setting can point out in scientific or objective terms why or how he is not real. We now know psychopathy as a real medical condition caused by an issue in a part of the brain called the amygdala. Holmes himself once said, "I was born with the devil in me. I could not help that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing." When Holmes' story was first coming to light around 1895, Detective Frank Geyer's search for proof of his murders was highly publicized. The public was so interested in the case that Geyer became something of a celebrity. The same morbid fascination with murderers, especially serial killers, still shows up in our lives. Our society sort of mythologizes serial killers like John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer. Their lives are told like scary stories around the campfire. Also, murder in movies and TV has always been popular, especially now. So why are Americans so obsessed with murder? It's because the psychopath is almost the ultimate representation of American culture. Someone who would, at any expense to themselves and others, seek what they want. We live in a country where supposedly anybody, through hard work and determination, can realize their dreams. But some people's dreams involve skinning people alive. It's a horrific spin on the idea of the self-made man and the American dream. This is also reflected in the fact that over 2/3 of documented serial killers since 1900 were American. Our society simply lends itself to murder. We're obsessed with serial killers because they're so like us. The only difference is in their moral compass. One passage from a different book about H. H. Holmes, the torture doctor, said he could look at himself in a mirror and tell himself that he was one of the most powerful and dangerous men in the world. He could feel that he was a god in disguise. Holmes' lack of morality freed him from society's expectations and allowed him to do the things he did. He thought in an entirely different way from regular society, so he felt like a god. Erik Larson called him a devil. Morality is something that can't be defined, and it can only come naturally, but it is completely vital to the survival of society and the very essence of humanity. Morality is the only thing separating us from a man who would remarry 3 times and kill all 3 of his wives. From a man who would build a hotel for the sole purpose of luring and killing unsuspecting visitors. From a man who would put 2 children in a trunk and fill it with gas. So we might identify with psychopaths, or even go so far as to envy them, but we need to remember what sets us apart. We need to celebrate morality. We need to show the natural goodness of humanity. Or else, America is doomed, because we'll have too many whose competitive drive outweighs their inclination towards caring and kindness. We need to be humans first, and Americans second. Devil in the White City.